Everybody. I am Amy Rutledge, the orchestra teacher at Stafford Middle School, and I'm so very excited to meet you. This video is going to take the place of our parent meeting. This will go over everything we would have gone over at the meeting, hopefully provide you with all the information that it is that you're looking for, as well as give you some examples of the things that students are going to be needing for the coming school year. So let's get started. All right, first of all, just a little bit about me. I am Amy Rutledge. I will be going into my 15th year of teaching next year, really finishing up at the end of this year. 12th year with Stafford. I've been here for a wonderful long time. I went to Oklahoma City University, and my primary instrument is violin, but I've been playing all these instruments, obviously, for over 15 years now, which is a little scary to think about, but I've loved every minute of it. This is just going to give you an idea right here. This is a very broad scope of the things that you student will be able to do by the end of next school year. And I know that feels like it's very far away at this point, but you're going to be surprised by how much progress they do make just in one school year's worth of playing. So they're going to be able to demonstrate basics of playing their instrument, including how to read music, a variety of rhythms, a variety of notes. We have here, I'm mentioning including all the notes in first position. That just refers to the basic position that students start playing in. We will actually begin to learn extended positions as well, first position and third position. But we will guarantee or plan to ensure that all students are learning first position by the end of the year. They're going to be able to play with a good tone quality. They're going to be able to change the volume of their sound using dynamics. They will be able to sight read music at a beginner appropriate level. And what that means is I should be able to give them a piece of music that features the skills they have learned during that school year, and they should be able to play it, at least with some effort and some practice. They're also going to be exposed to a wide variety of music vocabulary, including quite a few terms in foreign languages. Primarily Italian and French are our most common languages, but you will see Italian, French, German, Spanish, all sorts of great languages. So they're not only learning an instrument, they're learning a second language almost. As far as things that are expected of their students, bring all their supplies to class on a regular basis, including I say music binder, it's really going to be a folder, their Sound Innovations method book or their harp method book if they're a harpist, and as well as their instruments if they're taking them to and from school. They should also be preparing and practicing for their weekly playing tests. They should be practicing at home, and let's stress this, it's very important. Our beginners need to practice about 100 minutes a week, which is about 15 minutes a day. Consistent daily practice is much better than less frequent practice for a longer amount of time. Students are going to retain their information better. Students are going to improve their skills more steadily, and they are going to retain and continue to improve that information if they practice on a regular basis. So we are asking them to commit to that practice time, but it should be a very short amount of time each day. They also will be required to attend all of our concerts and any contests they are involved in. 3 to 4 concerts per year, just kind of depends on the year. Students may also be involved in potentially 2 different contests. One would be a beginner group contest for the whole beginner orchestra, and one is our solo contest, which students participate in each year and we prepare them for each year. Also, as a member of orchestra, we're expecting students to maintain positive grades. Of course, there is room for growth. We know this is a transition to middle school, and it's tough, but we want our students to work and be not only great orchestra members, but also great academic students at their level as needed. Things your student can expect to do during the year, both fun things and serious things. These are titles of concerts that we will participate in, including our demo concert, which is really more of an informance, as we like to call it, instead of performance, where students will show you things they learned right at the very beginning of the year and will also teach you how to do those things, as well as our fall, winter concerts, and end-of-year concerts. The other 3 titles there are concerts that will feature all of the orchestra students from beginner to advanced. The demo concert is just beginners only. We will have that solo contest that always happens in the spring, as well as our beginner orchestra, that's our group contest. We also try to do social events, movie nights, game nights here at school. We're hoping to maybe do some things that will allow us to get off campus as well. We're all still waiting to hear what next year's regulations will be like, but we've definitely got some great ideas in the works. The next and biggest and most important thing that parents want to know about is, okay, my student's chosen their instrument. Now, where do I get it, or what do I need to get? And so here is what we really come down to. I really strongly encourage students rent their instruments. A rental is exactly what it sounds like. It is an instrument owned by one of the local music companies in the area. They are providing a quality instrument to you and your students that will be a pleasant experience to play on as well as a pleasant experience to listen to. And they're providing instruments that are sized to the size of the student as they need. Our orchestra instruments are special in the fact that all orchestra instruments come in specific sizes based on the individual student's size. So there is not a one size fits all approach to our orchestra instruments. They are coming in sizes that fit that size of the students. You'll find that most beginners start out on a smaller instrument, a half size, a 3/4, maybe even down to a 1/4 size instrument rather than a full size or 4/4 instrument. And so we don't want to see somebody buy an instrument at a fractional size before they're ready for that full size instrument. And it's dangerous for students to play on an instrument that is too big for them. It could cause injury. I really also encourage you to rent, as quite often parents will go looking and say, hey, I found this great deal, Amazon, eBay, Walmart, Target even. It looks great. It's a violin for $100 or less. And I have to say, in my experience, those instruments often are lower quality instruments. They're usually made with materials that are not really designed for music production. They don't sound as good. They are harder to play. They're harder to maintain. They're harder to keep in tune. Basically, they're just harder for students to function with. Now, there are some reputable dealers out there. If your student is on a full size instrument and you are really interested in purchasing, I can direct you towards that. But I really, again, strongly recommend those rental companies. Other things and bonuses that come with having a rental company, you're going to get competitive pricing on great quality instruments. Most of these instruments, violins, tend to be in the $15 to $20 range. Violins and violas both. Cellos tend to run 30 to 40. Basses are running in the 50 to 60, sometimes a little bit more range. Which I know when it seems like a monthly cost that does seem expensive, but when you add it up over the course of the year is actually less, often less than a purchase of a quality instrument from a quality company. Almost all of our local companies also come with what is known as a maintenance plan. Some is included in your rental price automatically. Some are an extra price on top of that. But that maintenance plan is wonderful because even the most careful sixth grader will probably break a string or might have a bridge fall off or might even have a crack develop in their instrument through no fault of their own. Even if they're careful, they are wooden instruments. They are subject to damage by the nature of what they are. Those maintenance plans cover those basic repairs. Now, to be fair, if your child does smash their instrument into hundreds of pieces, you are on the hook for that instrument at that point. But anything that is normal, regular maintenance is included. And often these companies will come and pick up the instrument here from school to take it back to the store to fix so that you don't have to make any extra trips unless we're talking about something maybe on a weekend or an extended break. It really does help in terms of parent time outside of school and working on these instruments. And last, and usually the biggest point, these companies that are doing rentals are almost always a rent to own situation. So either you are renting towards the purchase of the instrument that you start to rent in sixth grade, or you could even put that rental payment that you've been making month to month towards the purchase of a nicer, better instrument for the students later on. What it ultimately results in is students are happier because they feel good about the way their instrument sounds. They will find their instrument easier to play. It ultimately does make a difference, and they will have a better experience if they are playing on a better quality instrument. So again, I can't recommend it enough. It's what I did when I started growing up. I have a variety of companies, which you're going to see in a slide or two, that I'm happy to recommend. And there are plenty of other companies in the area as well. The ones that I'm showing are just some of my favorites. Before we move on to our vendors, I did want to talk about getting your students sized for their instrument. As we already spoke about, most beginners are not ready for a full size instrument, which would be what an adult plays on in middle school, certainly going into sixth grade. They usually haven't hit that big middle school growth spurt yet. They are usually on smaller instruments. So to get your student sized for the proper instrument, you can go to your rental store that you are planning to rent from, and the employees within the store can help size that student for their instrument. Depending on instruments, sometimes this is done with a yardstick or a measuring tape to measure arm length or hand length. Sometimes this is done by comparing a physical sized instrument to a student's shoulder, body size, posture, position, everything like that. It's generally a fairly quick process. So going to the store to get this done should be no problem, should be no big deal, should be quick and easy. Um, if you are curious to know, most beginners violins generally start on about 3/4, sometimes down to half size violin, just depending on if they're a smaller or more average size sixth grader. For violas, we tend to start on either 13 or 12-inch violas. Cellos tend to be half size 3/4. I find more kids on 3/4 cellos, but if they're especially on the small side, they may need half size. Bass players, my beginner basses are almost always quarter size basses, but again, there is no guarantee. All of this is based on height, hand size, arm length, so it is very important to make sure that you take your student to get measured for their appropriate size. Um, and again, as they continue to move up, once they get to that full size, if that point you're interested in stopping your rental and looking to a purchase, that's absolutely something we can do. But it is very important for both safety reasons, yes, really, safety reasons, but also just enjoyability of playing. A student who's on a properly sized instrument is going to have the best experience and have the most likely chance of playing well, playing comfortably, building up that confidence. A student that is on an incorrectly sized instrument, especially an instrument that is too large for them, physically too large for them, is actually risking possible injury, a lot of muscle tears, a lot of tendonitis, a lot of different things like that. So that size is really very important. You do want to take your child to get measured at the music store for that. Continuing on. So let's keep going. So again, now we're talking about if you're interested in renting or even sometimes in case of purchase. So my favorite stores, Dallas Strings, Brooke Mays, Williamson Music First, Cadenza Violins. And of course, again, there are others in the area. These are just my 4 favorites. I will tell you that Williamson Music First is probably the closest location because they are right there in downtown Frisco, right off of Main Street. However, any of these 4 stores offer similar pricing, offer fantastic quality on their instruments. I have worked with all of these stores for a very long time. I've got excellent relationships with their representatives from the stores as well as store owners or repair people as themselves. I cannot speak highly enough of any of these companies. And again, that does not mean these are the only companies. They are just my favorites. I'm happy to look into any other company, give you any other recommendations if you would like them. In terms of supplies, which we'll see the list in just a second, anything that is particular to music supplies, you can get them from any of these stores above. You can also, if you're interested in websites or ordering online, sharmusic.com or Southwest Strings, swstrings.com are 2 orchestra specific websites that you can order from. You can also find many of the supplies, basic supplies that you need on Amazon, Target, Walmart. You're certainly not limited to any of these things. These, again, are all just suggestions. Now, as far as specific supplies, at this point, we are talking about violin, viola, cello, bass students. My harp students, don't worry, I've got information coming for you in just a second. Students are definitely going to need an instrument or a bow. We're also going to need the other following supplies, some of which are specific to instruments. Shoulder rest for violins and violas, and I will place a picture of what a shoulder rest looks like on the screen for you in just a moment. Any brands that you see in here, again, are recommendations just through my 15 years of teaching experience. Kuhn, Foam, or Everest for the violins and violas are my 3 favorite shoulder rest brands. I think they provide the best support for the price and quality for the price as well. Cellos and basses will need something called a rock stop. This is a small, usually metal disc or sometimes rubber disc that is placed on the floor and prevents a cello or bass from sliding, even in carpet, but also prevents the end pin on a cello or bass from damaging your floor, especially if they happen to have the very pointy end pins, which some of you will have. Cleaning cloth is anything that is cotton or microfiber. You can buy brand specific cleaning cloths that are meant for that. This is to help clean our instruments every day, especially once we do start using our bows. We have something that you'll talk about in just a second called rosin, which can leave dust or any oils from our fingers, anything like that. And the goal is to keep our instruments in as good as maintenance and good cleaning as possible. So a cleaning cloth, again, you can buy those branded ones, or you can get any cotton or microfiber cloth from any store that you would like, or even at home. All we ask is that for your cleaning cloth, if it's coming from home, make sure it's a brand new cloth and not a rag that's had any other industrial chemicals or household chemicals on it. Just those household chemicals can stick around even through washings. and could get on the instrument and could damage it. So a clean cloth for that one. Rosin is something that you will see your students, uh, pardon me, put on their bows. It does sometimes look like a hard candy. It is not. Please don't eat your rosin, students. Um, but it is a hard substance that students use to put on their bow hair. It will make the bow hair very sticky so that it sticks to the strings and helps to produce sound. My preferred brands for violins, violas, cello is a brand called Heiderzine. Basses, you can get Pops rosin, but I also very much like a brand called, let me see if I can find one. Carlson is another one that I do need to add to this list. Most of you, when you do your rental, rosin will come with your rental. Some of the rosin that comes with the rentals is fine, and then some of it is great, and it just kind of depends. So if you're wanting to get a specialized brand, Heiderzine, Pops, or Carlson for our bass players. Also, students are going to need a metronome tuner. My personal recommendation is a Korg TM. Actually, their current model, I believe, is a TM60. A TM50 is great. You can get two separate devices. You can get a metronome and a tuner. I just happen to like the combo devices. And again, this is one of those times where this is a brand I like, but there are lots of different brands out there that work great. There is, I know there is Cherub, there is Snark, there is, yes, these are all brands, by the way. There is a brand called Cecilio that we've had mixed experience. I've had some kids that had Cecilio metronomes tuners that were wonderful, and some that just were not as great. But again, there's a lot of different brands of metronome tuners. Mainly, we just need students to have something that will help them keep a steady beat. That's your metronome, and something to help them tune their instrument and check the way they are playing. That's your tuner portion of things. I recommend a compound device of the two together. A lot of students ask, hey, I'm going to have a smartphone. Can I just use that? Aren't there apps? There absolutely are apps. The reason I don't recommend students rely only on apps, especially as they are going into middle school, even the best students do get grounded. And quite frequently, when a student is grounded, the very first thing that gets taken away is that phone. And if your student was relying on a phone for their metronome and tuner, well, now they have just lost access to that. So I do recommend that you get an independent device, especially to use here at school. But if you would like some app recommendations for home use, I'm absolutely happy to provide those as well. For our next supply, a cloth or canvas pencil bag with binder rings. What we'll do with this is it's going to be a way to hold your shoulder rest, your rock stop, your cleaning cloth, basically those extra supplies. We will tie it onto the instrument case, or students will be able to easily carry their orchestra supplies in that little pouch. I don't recommend the plastic ones because they tend to break. And although the really adorable zipper ones that are monsters and other shapes are so much fun, they're generally not big enough. So just a standard cloth or canvas pencil bag. I'll put a picture on the screen so that you can see it. That really will be your best bet. Students are going to need access to pencils during class. We only use pencils in orchestra. And although, yes, we will do some things through their Chromebooks, we often like to say that orchestra is one of those old school classes. We will do a lot of paper. We will do a lot of marking things. They do need pencils in case they need to make changes. Our last few supplies, they will need a music stand at home. You can usually purchase one from your rental company. You can also buy them online. Music stands are there to do exactly that. Most students will stand while they play. Even if they sit, they need to bring their music up to the level of their eyes. If they are trying to perform looking down at their bed, they're going to play with poor posture and position. Our orchestra shirt, you'll get information about that in the fall. We're going to get new shirts this fall. I'm really excited about it. And then finally, method book for their instrument. We're going to talk about the method book we use in just a second. And here you can see it now. Our students use a book series called Sound Innovations. Book 1 has a blue cover. You need to make sure that you get it for your violin, viola, cello, or bass instrument, depending on what you play. Yes, they are specific to the instrument. The instruments do read music differently in each clef, and also fingerings are different. So it is important that you get the correct book for the correct instrument. These books can be found at any of the local music companies. They can be purchased on Amazon or any music seller. So absolutely, Sound Innovations, Book 1, blue cover. For our harp students, and I'm going to make this as quick as I can. I know this is starting to get kind of long. You will be using the book Harp Olympics. The school is providing your actual first book, which is called Harp Olympics pre-Olympics or pre-warm-ups, something to that effect. It has a purple cover. We are providing that, We do ask that you buy Harp Olympic Stage 1. You will need a tuning key. You'll need a black binder, page protectors, tab dividers, pencil highlighters, and a pencil bag, as well as a music stand for home use. Anything that is harp specific, Vanderbilt Music is your best place to find. They are a wonderful online store that provides great resources for harps. Anything that's more office supply related, your binder, your tabs, your protectors, Target, Walmart, Amazon, any online or local big box store you can buy those supplies at. um, Again, we're going through things. So if you are a student that is going to be a large instrument player, typically we're talking cello, bass, or harp, you will be using a school instrument. And you will have your rental instrument at home, and that way you're not having to cart a large instrument back and forth on a regular basis, maybe on special occasions, but not on a regular basis. If we are dealing with any students that are trying to do violin or viola and have a financial need, we do have some school instruments available if you are a student that is on free or reduced lunch. And if that's something you need, let me know. Generally speaking, though, Frisco ISD does charge a fee. It's $100 per school year or $50 per semester. Payment of this fee will take place through onlineschoolfees.com, which is currently the place that you would go to make any payments for your student, whether that was a field trip fee or a supply fee or anything like that. Paperwork and instructions on how to pay your fee, how to fill out your rental forms will be provided at the start of the school year. And again, if you are a student that is on free or reduced lunch, talk to me, please send me an email, give me a phone call. We can absolutely help if somebody is needing a reduced school instrument fee or needing to use a school instrument. But again, that is available to students for violins and violas for students who are in financial need on that. We are getting close. Private lessons. We've got great lessons teachers in orchestra. And this is one of those things, a lot of people hear private tutoring and they often think of tutoring as my kid's failing, I need to get them extra help. That's the opposite in orchestra. Private lessons are all about getting kids ahead. Now, of course, especially as beginners, they're going to be in class with me almost every day of the week. We're going to teach them everything they need to know. But if you are a student who likes a little bit of competition, always wants to be the best at what you do, are you just looking to excel and be really good? Or do you want just some extra attention? Then your private lessons are a great way to go about that. As of right now, Frisco is planning to allow private lessons teachers back into the classroom in the fall. Of course, that all does depend on how COVID is handled, but we are looking forward to being able to welcome our private lessons teachers back and be involved. If that's something you're interested in, you can contact me. We also have some private lessons teachers listed on our orchestra website that you're absolutely welcome to go and contact yourselves. Generally speaking, we acknowledge that students may want to get started early. They're going to learn some things over the summer, and that would be great. It may be best to wait until the start of the school year. After your student has been learning between 6th and 7th or 7th and 8th, if they want to pick up some lessons over the summer, I think that's a great idea. All right. And almost last but not least, we are looking to get our booster club up and running again. Our interesting school year this year has made it difficult to staff our booster club the way we would like, but we have had some wonderful people in the past, and I'm looking for more amazing people. Our booster club is here to help support the students. So for some of those big contests that we want to be able to take the beginners to, or to be able to provide maybe an extra cool social night where we get to rent some extra supplies or provide some extra food or treats or anything like that. If we've got any students that do need that financial need, that is the purpose of our booster club. It's there to support the students and the orchestra program and what we can do for them. Our current continuing president is Catherine Snow. Our other officers have either aged out because their students were 8th graders this past year, or in the case of some of our officers, we had one who had to step down because of a new job she received, and she's doing wonderful things and did wonderful things. She's just not able to continue her responsibilities. But we do need vice president, secretary, treasurer. We would love to have you involved. So please let me know if you are interested in that. And finally, our last slide, contact information for me. rutledgea@friscoisd.org is my email, quite frankly, is always the fastest way to reach me. You may not get a response right away, depending on the time of day or the time of year, but I can promise that you will get a response. If you want to speak by phone, 469-633-5126. I'm always happy to make a phone call. and happy to speak with anybody. I just know that often parents are looking for quick answers. Email is usually the best way. If you just want general information about what Orchestra is doing, what it looks like, supplies, anything else that you haven't seen yet, tinyurl.com/stmso. The capitalization does matter, so you do need to type it in exactly like you see it on the screen. But you can find our website there, as well as we also have Facebook and Twitter at STMS Orchestra. We may also be bringing Instagram into the mix next year. I am so excited to meet all of you. I'm looking forward to meeting you. If you have any questions, please email me. Over the summer, I will be checking email. It may not be every day, but I certainly will be checking email periodically. So I will be happy to get back to you just as soon as I can. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful summer break. I can't wait to see you beginners next year, and parents, I look forward to getting to know and work with you as well. Have a wonderful time.